Mic check. Okay, cool. All right, everybody. Let's get this party started. What we're going to do is have a video about the last part of the semester. This part is called Stipulating Conditions. First, hold on a second. Let me get should be a little bigger. I think that's better. All right, this is called Stipulating Conditions. And with this video, there will be an accompanying handout. Let me show you the handout and the name. The name of the handout is called Stipulating Conditions, and it looks like this. So at the very beginning, at the top, just goes over some explanations, and then we have 3 different activities, which you should do, and then we'll check the answers in class. As you can see, there's really not much to learn here, and stipulating conditions also accompanies or matches very well with speculating about the future. So it kind of goes hand in hand. So let me open up my PPT, and there will also be, I'll also upload the PPT in case you want it. And the PPT is called Stipulating Conditions. Hold on a second. Okay, so let me share my screen. Oh, by the way, this is going to be a 25-minute video. I don't think I'm going to be able to talk about stipulating conditions for 25 minutes. So I have my stopwatch here, and maybe my explanations will take 15, maybe 20 minutes. So for the last like 5 to 10 minutes, I'm just going to show you a couple of YouTube videos about dogs. Very, I would, maybe not necessarily cute, but inspirational videos. All right, so here we go. Let's begin. So, stipulating conditions, the last part of the semester. All right, stipulating conditions. Okay. Now, what exactly does this mean? Well, first, why don't we look at the second word first, conditions, because in conversation 1, we focus on conditionals. And so conditions, conditionals, they refer to the same thing. And when we communicate conditionals, we use a specific word. And the word is if. First conditionals, second conditionals. So when we use stipulating conditions, we're actually including if. Now we're going to learn 3 expressions. 2 of them explicitly use if, and the third one has a built-in meaning of if. So, stipulating conditions. What are they? Well, first, let me pose a question. This will help us learn. Okay, let's say if I came up to you and I'm like, oh, you know what, I don't have any money right now. And I said, would you lend me, and I asked you, would you lend me $20? But, and $20 is around samanon, iman, yuchinon. If I said, would you lend me $20 and I'm not going to pay you back? Would you lend me $20? I'm sure you'd say no. Now, why wouldn't you lend me $20 if I said I wouldn't pay you back? Basically, you'd say no because I'm not fulfilling a certain condition that you need in order to be true, in order to lend me money, the $20. So what condition would you need for you to lend me the $20? What would have to be true for you to lend me that $20? Of course. The condition is I need to promise to pay you back. If I did not, if you went to a bank and you tried to get a loan, of course, the only way that they will lend you money is if you prove to them this condition is true. You will pay them back and you promise, and hence you sign your name. All right, so how can we communicate and convey speculating conditions? Well, there are three main ones, three main expressions: even if, only if, and unless. All three are used to say that a particular condition changes the outcome of a situation, or they should be ignored. So just like whether or not I promise to pay you back, that condition changes the outcome, or it could be ignored, but in this case, it does change the outcome because it changes whether or not you will lend me the money. So even if this is used to say what will happen, be done, or be true, regardless of the condition. So even if doesn't change the outcome. So I'll go to the concert, even if I have to wait in line to get a ticket. Now remember, the condition comes after if. So the condition is I have to wait in line to get a ticket. Now, because we're using even if, I'm still going to go to the concert. So waiting in line to get a ticket is not changing the outcome because we're using even if. I'll go to the concert even if I have to wait in line to get a ticket. I really want to go. Now, only if is used to say what will happen, be done, or be true only under a specific condition. So this is similar to you requiring me to promise to pay you back. So I'll eat there only if you have a coupon. Again, the condition follows if. So the condition is you having a coupon. I'll eat there only if you have a coupon. Regular price is too expensive. Maybe I want to go to that restaurant. Maybe I've seen pictures of that restaurant's food on the internet, on social media, and I'm like, oh man, I want to go there someday. But then you look at the price and you're like, I really can't afford it. I just don't have the money. But if you have a coupon, I can go there. So I'll eat there only if you have a coupon. Similarly, I will lend you $20 only if you promise to pay me back. So that's completely different than even if. Only if changes the outcome because that condition must be true for something to happen. Now, the first two are quite easy to understand because they use if, and even and only are words and concepts that are very, very common and easy to understand. Unless can be a little tricky. So we're going to focus a little more on unless. But just to let you know, unless is used to say what will happen, be done, or is true only if something else does not happen, is not done, or is not true. Because it has that negative aspect about it, only if something else does not happen, makes it a little trickier to understand. So we're going to take, like I said, we're going to take a look at some examples so we can clearly understand unless. So let's look at this example. I'll play basketball tomorrow unless it rains. So it basically it must not rain for me to play basketball. So I'll play basketball tomorrow unless it rains. I don't want to get wet. We are going to look at some more examples of unless to clearly understand this. In other words, this means I'll play basketball tomorrow if it doesn't rain. So only if something else does not happen. So that's what that means. Unless means if it doesn't happen. I'll play basketball tomorrow unless it rains. I'll play basketball tomorrow unless it rains. Same meaning as I'll play basketball tomorrow if it doesn't rain. I'll play basketball tomorrow if it doesn't rain. We're gonna look at more examples in a couple minutes. But let me now just go to your first short assignment, which is page 1 of the handout I mentioned at the beginning of class. So when you see that The file name is called Stipulating Conditions. This is the one I'm referring to. So page 1, there are 9 blanks. You want to fill in the blanks with the correct expression. Oops, let me go back to the PPT. So before we move on, let's do this first 3 together. So I'll give you a clue. There are 3 sentences here. In one of the blanks, you should use even if. In another blank, you should use only if. And in the final blank, you should use unless. So just take 15 seconds and fill in the blanks. One of them even if, one of them unless, one of them only if. All right, so let's take a look at the first one. So let's say there's this like shot glass and it's tequila. Tequila is very strong. So I know a taste of tequila is not very strong taste. So I will take this big shot, big glass of tequila, blank. I can have a glass of cola that I can drink right after I take the tequila to wash away the bad taste. So even if, only if, or unless. It sounds like this condition must be true. So I will take this big shot of tequila only if I can have a glass of cola to wash away the bad taste. That means if I don't have a glass of cola to wash away the bad taste, I'm not going to take the shot of tequila. Okay, here we go. How about here? Blank, blank, you don't want to go to the movie. I'll go by myself. I really want to see it. So this sounds like I don't need to see the movie. I don't need to have a partner to watch the movie. I'm gonna watch the movie even if I'm by myself. So even if you don't want to go to the movie, I'll go by myself. I really want to see it. And like I said, only if, even if, all 3 expressions are used here. So I'll meet you for dinner unless I have to work overtime. Or else it'll be too late. So too late, too means inability. All right. So what this means is I'll meet you for dinner if I don't have to work overtime. That's the meaning here. So that's the inherent, the built-in meaning of unless. It's if the opposite. So here I have as the verb if I don't have. So I'll meet you for dinner if I don't have to work overtime, or else it'll be too late. Okay, so finish 4 through 9 for page 1. And we're going to go over the answers in class. But let's go over unless a little bit more. So here's a kid, and I know like each country has certain vegetables and foods that kids don't like. I think in Korea, a lot of kids don't like cucumbers and carrots. In America, it's kind of rare. I think most kids like cucumbers and carrots. Kids don't like broccoli, and that might be similar to Korea. Um, Kids in the States, I would say probably like tomatoes for some reason. Tomatoes is seen more as a fruit in Korea. It is, I think, technically a fruit, but it's eaten more like a fruit, because it's sweet. But for some reason, Americans, they might not like tomatoes. But of course, garlic and maybe onions. Um, but anyways, as you can see, this kid is no fan of broccoli. But a lot of parents require their kids to eat the healthy foods if they want to have dessert. So you might hear a parent tell their child one of these 3 things. Now, only one of these makes sense or is grammatically correct. That all 3 use unless, but only one of them is actually correct or makes sense. So take 5 seconds, choose which one makes sense. Okay, The top one. Unless you don't finish eating your broccoli, you can't have dessert. Doesn't make sense. So it's going to be between the second and the third one. Unless you finish your broccoli, you can have dessert. If a parent said that, the child would be like, awesome. I'm not going to finish my broccoli. So it's actually the third one. Now, oh, sorry. Let's go back. I was, this is actually the point. I should have told you maybe this before, but that's okay. Unless you means if you don't. So let's just put if you don't into these sentences. Now, unless you means if you don't. So if you don't, that's a double negative. If you don't. So that means if you finish eating your broccoli, technically, if you don't finish eating your broccoli, technically that means if you finish eating your broccoli, you can't have dessert. If you finish your broccoli, you can't have dessert. Oh my gosh. That's weird. That sounds very unusual. Um, but let's take a look at the second one. If you don't finish your broccoli, you can have dessert. Hey, I know you're looking at that broccoli like, oh, this is disgusting. Well, guess what? If you don't finish your broccoli, you can have dessert. Awesome. Sounds weird, but let's put if you don't here. If you don't finish your broccoli, you can't have dessert. Okay, that makes sense. So if you don't finish your broccoli, you cannot have dessert. All right. So just remember, unless, and the subject can change, of course. In this sentence, you is the subject. But unless blank, has the same meaning as if you don't, or if the subject doesn't blank. Because unless is a type of condition, even though it doesn't have if in the actual word or expression itself, but it's built in. It acts as if it has an if. All right, so again, unless verb means if, not the verb. So take a look at these three sentences. Unless there is a safe place to lock up my bike in front of the stadium, I won't ride my bike to the game. I'll just walk there. I'll meet you for dinner unless I have to work overtime, or else it'll be too late. There's no way I can go to Europe this vacation unless the price of airfare goes down. So what can you replace this underlying part with? Well, if, then we need to use the negative form of is. If there isn't. If there isn't, so unless there is a safe place is the same thing as if there is not. If there isn't a safe place to lock up my bike in front of the stadium, I won't ride my bike to the game. I'll just walk there. I'll meet you for dinner unless I have to work overtime. I'll meet you for dinner if I, what's the negative form of have? Don't have. Oops. I'll meet you for dinner if I don't have to work overtime, or else it'll be too late. Finally, unless the price of airfare, that's the subject, goes down, doesn't go down. There's no way I can go to Europe this vacation if the price of airfare doesn't go down. All right. So I hope that can help you understand unless. It's like if the negative. Also, after unless, it's more natural to have a positive clause, a verb in the positive form. It doesn't mean subjectively, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? It just means the verb itself should be in the positive form. It's not the negative form. Why? Because unless means if not. So if you have the negative verb, it's a double negative. If not, not. Technically, it's okay. It's not ungrammatical. But when you hear it or you read it, it's hard to understand. It's hard to process because it's if not, not. So we won't make it to the movie on time unless we take a taxi. So take is in the positive form. it doesn't say we don't take a taxi. So after unless, use the positive form of a verb, or else use a different expression, or else you're risking miscommunication because it's even for native speakers. When you hear a verb in the negative form following unless, it's just hard to quickly understand. So we won't make it to the movie on time unless we take a taxi. The verb in the underlined clause is in the positive form. What is the same meaning in an if clause? If we don't take a taxi. Now, as far as I know, unless is the same as momo haji anamyan. Momo haji anamyan. Momo haji anamyan. So if the verb before haji is in the negative form, it sounds weird. It's like momo haji anji anamyan. Something like that. It's just very weird. It's like two negative verbs plus myan or anamyan. And so that's why technically grammatically it's correct. But after unless, it's very good. Only use a verb in the positive form. So we take a taxi, that's in the positive form. It's not we don't take a taxi. Okay, and because that has the same meaning as if we don't take a taxi. Okay, so on page 2, there's an activity, and what you want to do is just fill in the blank using unless. You want to use unless. So blank unless you eat all of your vegetables. So what is something a child can't do, for example, if they don't? This means if you don't eat all of your vegetables. Unless you eat is the same as if you don't eat all of your vegetables. So what? What? Can't have dessert. You can't hang out with your friends. Can't do something. So I won't give you money for going to the mall unless you eat all your vegetables. So for this activity on page 2, fill in all the blanks using an expression, and unless is used in every single sentence. Oh, sorry, this should say page 3. On page 3, there are 3 dialogues, and what you want to do is you want to summarize them by completing the sentences. So basically use a verb in the positive form for the clauses after unless. So Bob says, how about going out to eat tonight? Jenny says, I shouldn't. I don't have much money. But if you pay, I will go. So this doesn't mean she has enough money. Sounds like if the meal is $25, it sounds like she has $25, but maybe she only has $30. That's why she says, I don't have much money. She doesn't say, I don't have enough money. But if you pay, I will go. In other words, Jenny won't go out to eat tonight unless Bob pays. All right. That's the end. Now we do have a minute and a half. I'm not going to show you this whole video, but I'm just going to show you. Oh, this is unbelievable. So look at this dog.
This bed, and there's this little dog. She just had this big, loving,
Okay, these
cartoon
people,
eye that just
they
saying,
found this
I
dog.
scooped her up
It is
and
like the
invited her
scaredest dog
to
in the
took her
world.
home. We just went and sat and
Look at how
cried,
scared this
and then
dog is.
just violent shaking. Myself and a team and the whole rescue community came together, and we all went and we worked to clear out the entire shelter.
Look at how scared that dog is.
Mentally, she just shut down, and for days, she just couldn't even function. What I thought would be a couple of weeks ended up turning into a couple more weeks and then months and months on end. Everything was a first for her.
Didn't know how to be a
She's
dog.
never felt grass before, so when she's putting her little paws on it, she's just terrified. And the sunlight scares her. Everything scared her. If you would look at her or make eye contact, she would run. She was an escape artist. And she would sometimes hide under the table or sit in the corner for days. The only time she'd come out is when I'd take her out to the bathroom. Okay, so after we go to the bathroom, okay, everybody in, and Blossom just takes off. He goes straight to her hiding spot. Instead of making her get out of that hiding spot, I just moved the entire table. I just built her a little bedroom. Once that base was built, we started seeing a lot of firsts. All right, so we are hand feeding Miss Blossom just to kind of build some trust. I'd cook all of her meals because it's the only way I could get her to eat, and it's the only way I could add enough moisture because she wouldn't drink out of a water bowl. She didn't know how. She saw Zoe drinking and she just went up there and drank water.
Oh my gosh.
Just happened. Good girl, Blossom. Good girl. Oh, sorry. Sorry. That was the first time I've ever seen her drink water. It's been 6 weeks now. Ah, oh, that feels so good. She's crazy at the dog holes now. It's like,
Now she's drinking from other dogs' bowls.
she jumped up on the couch to sit next to me. As you can tell, like super weird about it as soon as the camera turns on. But you know what? No, no, stay, stay. She's up here. Stay. It's okay. Relax. You're a good girl. As other rescue dogs came into the house, she would start to greet them. She was happy to meet him. All of a sudden, she
One day,
just starts
suddenly,
running around,
boom,
wagging her tail.
instantly.
It's one of the happiest moments of my life and absolutely a first because here she is, almost a 3-year-old dog, and she wagged her tail for the first time. And getting to be a part of that made all of the 3-month journey
It's amazing.
Look at that. Look at that tail wagging. Blossom. Good girl. Oh, this is amazing.
Oh, isn't that crazy? Like that dog, Blossom, instantly, it was like a light switch. Like scared, boom, then it's completely a normal dog. All right, anyways, maybe you can gain inspiration from that story to just go out there and do your homework about stipulating conditions. Anyways, I hope that helped. Wow, yeah, it's crazy how long you can talk about something like stipulating conditions. Have a great day, and I will see you in class. Let me know if you have any questions. See ya.